Hey guys, so I know this, first of all, it probably looks a little weird. I'm really new to OBS and I'm not really sure how to get it to fit the entire screen. Got the black lines at the side. Probably figure out eventually, but I don't know how to do that right now. And I've looked up videos and it just didn't work. So, I haven't uploaded in a long time, and that's really because my computer just can't handle gaming and streaming, I guess. Unfortunately, so I had to stop because it was driving me crazy. But I did find something that I could do that I'll have a lot of fun with. What I'm going to do is review some shark movies. I'm going to school to be a marine biologist, and sharks are like my favorite thing ever. So I thought that was pretty fitting. And shark movies, let's be honest, are so stupid and cheesy. Like, even the best ones, kind of like, but would that ever really happen? The answer's no. Most of the time, the answer's no. So, today, we're going to start off with what I feel like is actually the best shark movie. It's pretty old, so no, it's not like freaking Megalodon or 47 Meters Down. And if you thought they were pretty good movies, you'd be wrong. Just they're fun movies, sure, but not good movies. Keep in mind that I'm not an expert in any of this. I only have an associate's degree. I don't have a bachelor's or master's, and I've never swam with sharks. But I do know a lot about them. I've seen educational programs, and I've read some books. One by Peter Benchley, which is very informational and actually helped me lessen my fear of sharks. So, if you're interested in that, or if you're just curious, I recommend his books, definitely. So keep in mind, this is all for fun. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm not pretending to be. So, the review we're doing today is Jaws! If you've never seen that movie, you're probably too young to be watching this video. I think it's a great movie. It doesn't exactly portray sharks in a gentle light. Cinematically, it's a great movie. But it's just a fun summer flick. When I was a kid, I had never seen the whole movie until after I got into sharks, because that movie terrified me so much when I was a kid. Like, I would not stay in the same room and watch it with my mom because it just scared the living shit out of me. It looked so real, and I did not like it. The shark was huge, and people were dying. I should add that there's going to be major spoilers for all of the shark movies that I do. I'm not going to hold back. So if you, for some reason, have not ever seen it, and you're like, oh no, I don't want spoilers, then don't watch this video. Go watch the movie and come back if you watch it. So let's get into Bruce's first movie. So in the very first scene, you see this girl run into the water, and her boyfriend's like, behind, drunk as hell. He passes out on the beach, and she's swimming in the ocean, and it's nighttime. That is actually really important because sharks hunt at night and very early in the morning. So honestly, if you want to avoid a shark attack, first of all, don't go to the water at all. But if you have to, second of all, do not go during the time when they hunt, because you've increased your chances of running into a shark. Sharks are the apex predator of the ocean. Like, they're at the very top. They're amazing hunters. They have amazing eyesight, but they still do confuse us for seals, mostly because they've probably never ran into a human before. And even if they didn't have amazing eyesight, they have what's called the ampullae of Lorenzini. There's these little, like, dots that if you are close up on a shark for some reason, you can see, like, little dots across their face, kind of like that. I'm sorry, my cat is going insane. They have dots across their face, and it allows them to feel vibrations in the water. Say, like, if a fish kind of buried itself under the sand, it could still hear and feel the vibrations from its heartbeat. And it can also feel the vibrations of a distressed fish that's sick or dying. After the shark attacks her, big surprise, she's kind of being ragdoll and being pulled back and forth through the water. And that is an important part too, because sharks do that. They shake their head to disorient their prey, and they also do that because a lot of sharks have serrated teeth. And when they do that with their head, then the serrated teeth, like, tears at the flesh. It makes it easier to, frankly, kill. And it's only a matter of minutes before she's completely pulled under the water and everything is quiet, showing that as soon as the shark comes, it's all over with. One thing that did bother me about this scene was the lack of blood. I'm not saying that it's going to be, like, a crazy, gory scene with, like, lots of blood spray, like a fountain, but with an attack that violent, there's bound to be a lot of blood. It's a small detail. It's not super important, but I thought I'd add it here anyway, because we're going for accuracy. So at one point, this guy is on the beach, and he's playing fetch with his dog, and he throws the stick or whatever into the water. And after a few minutes, it's hinted that the dog, Pippin, I see what you did there, by the way, Megalodon, that Pippin's missing. He's gone. Now, there have actually been reports of dogs being attacked and eaten by sharks at beaches, but it's not really common because sharks don't go for small furry things. Like, they go for big, fat, lots of protein, so, like, seals. So I can't say that sharks attacking dogs isn't accurate, but it's not at the top of their menu. It's probably more like, hey, this is an easy meal. So, you know, sharks are opportunists, but no, it's not going to pick a dog over, say, a seal. And more than likely, poor little Pippin would have been spat out after the shark realized, oh, this isn't what I usually eat. When Pippin's owner finally realizes that his dog is missing, we switch to the shark's POV. And after a few seconds of swimming through and under people without them realizing it, you see the shark set its sights for a boy that's on, like, a big yellow rectangular float in the water. And this is an important detail because there's this thing among, like, surfers and marine biologists, whatever. They refer to yellow as yum yum yellow because and usually the fish that sharks eat are very bright, or have bright colored scales. Seen from a shark's point of view, a few meters under the surface, it could actually look like a seal. Now, I've never seen a yellow seal in my life, but hey, this is a movie. Some people have put up the argument that sharks' eyesight is near perfect, so there couldn't be anything such as mistaken identity. The only flaw in that is that shark attacks and shark bites, and yes, there is a big difference, rarely ever happen, especially these days. The shark species population among all of the species has gone down tremendously. So even if you're kind of acting like prey, splashing in the water, screaming, whatever, you're probably not going to run into a shark in the first place. And when a shark sees a human for the first time, they're going to be like, what the hell is that? And go investigate. And unfortunately, sharks don't have hands to feel or whiskers or anything else that the rest of the animal kingdom has to feel. So the only thing they can do is do the bump and bite technique, which is literally just bump into whatever it is to see if they can figure it out. And if they still can't figure it out after bumping into it, then all they can do is bite it and see what it is. So, in this scene, I know my first point was that there was not enough blood, but for this scene, there was way too much blood. And I know they just did it for dramatics, but there's blood spraying everywhere, and it's just so not believable. And, you know, like with the dog, he would have figured out, first of all, I don't think sharks have floats on their menu, so he definitely would have spat that out. And after chopping down on the super bony, skinny boy, he probably would have spat the boy out. But he despairs completely, like he eats him whole. And the next scene after that one, after everybody figures out that the boy's been eaten, presumably, you see these two fishermen on a pier. It's not a very big pier at all. And this one guy is talking about his wife's roast. And he attaches the roast to a hook, throws it out into the water, and attaches like the chain to the end of the pier. What happens next is you don't see the shark, but something bites down on the roast and starts pulling very quickly. And even when the chain is stretched to maximum, it just like keeps pulling without any hesitation whatsoever. And the whole pier just falls apart. Now, I'm not saying that couldn't happen, but I am saying that if a shark bit onto something and started swimming off, there would at least be a few seconds of hesitation after the chain was at its maximum length. Like, it wouldn't just keep going. And again, that's not a very big detail, but I still took off for it. Now, after the pier falls apart, one of the fishermen falls into the water. And he's like freaking out and panicking. No matter what kind of situation you're in, don't panic. That is the thing that will kill you more than anything else. Don't panic. Be calm, be rational. And I know it's really hard to be calm when you know there's a shark in the water and it could potentially come for you. But be calm. Now the next one is a criticism for or against the shark. This is an introduction of my favorite character, Matt Hooper. He's a marine biologist in the movie. Surprise, surprise. And I guess he heard about the shark attacks, and he wants to come and help and investigate or whatever. But when he comes in, our main character, Chief Brody, is just busy. He's busier than hell. And there's all these people getting in boats, wanting to find the shark and kill it. And there's people freaking out and calling him and asking him for huge favors among everything that's like not even related to the shark. And they just want him. Everybody wants Chief Brody to do something for him. So he's super busy, and he sees these guys overloading a boat. And Hooper's trying to talk to Brody and introduce himself or whatever. So Chief Brody's like, hey, can you tell those guys that they're overloading that boat and to get off? Well, Hooper tries to, but they ignore him, brush him off, whatever. So he was like, do you know a nice restaurant or hotel I could go to? And basically they're like, all you have to do is take a few steps forward, ha ha ha, indicating that he could basically just jump off the pier like they don't give a shit. And his reaction is to laugh sarcastically and say, yeah, they're all gonna die. That's like one of my favorite scenes in the movie just because it's so realistic. Like, you know what? I'm just trying to help you guys out and you tell me to go fuck myself. Fine. Whatever. Karma's a bitch. Now, this is a part that I wanted to address before the end of the review. Half an hour into the movie, you see all these fishermen trying to catch a shark, like I said. And there's a huge reward for anybody that can catch the shark that ate the boy. And they're all scrambling because they want, I think it was like $10,000. And this is back in the... God, when was this movie made? In the 80s, maybe? So $10,000 was a lot more than $10,000 back then compared to now. So it was a lot. I know the point of these movies is to sensationalize these underwater killers. But no matter what you think, no matter how arrogant you are, the fact remains that the ocean is a shark's home. It's the shark's territory, not yours, not mine, not ours. If you wander into their territory, they have the right to figure out what the fuck you are. They have the right to bite you. And I'm not saying that people getting eaten by sharks or like losing half their torso or whatever, I'm not saying, I know I sound like a psycho right now, but that is not your territory. It's terrible when somebody gets attacked by a shark, yes. But the possibility is always there. You have to put yourself into that situation. So when somebody's attacked that you care about or that you know, it's not the shark's fault. You're going in knowing there could be a possibility of a shark or worse. So my main issue with this is that they believed that they had a right to kill the shark when that was its home. Billions of years of evolution have made sharks the perfect killer, the perfect predator. The basic function of a shark is to take out the sick and weak fish to keep the ocean clean. And that's it. Now, if you act like prey, it's going to think you're prey. No one has a right to take sharks out of their homes and murder them. They deserve respect, and they deserve to live like anybody else or anything else in the world. That's the end of my rant. Okay, back to the movie. Now, in the next scene, there's a group of fishermen that bring up the shark that they caught. Everyone's excited. They think that it could be the one that attacked the little boy. And, you know, that's the end of the mystery. They can open the beaches again, blah, 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 blah. Now, I do want to give credit where credit is due. The shark they caught was a tiger shark, and you can tell because juvenile, younger tiger sharks have stripes on them, like tigers. And it almost looks real. Where great whites have like a point kind of shaped like a tornado, a pointy face. Tiger sharks have more of a squared off face, and it looks accurate. And even down to the texture of the teeth, which is where the serrated teeth come in. It looks really impressive. Hooper starts measuring the ratio of the mouth and says, hey, it might not be the shark. I'm not saying it's not the shark, but it's probably not. And he says the bite radius is different on the shark than the victim. And that's a very important and accurate observation he makes. There's all kinds of sharks with all kinds of bites all over the world. I like that they didn't like mesh sharks together into just one species, because there's way more than that, and they bothered to put actual facts into the movie. As another side note, Hooper visits the Brody household. Chief Brody and his wife are having dinner, and he sits down with them. And Chief Brody's wife says, "My husband says you're into sharks." Or, no, wait, back up. So the wife says, "My husband says you're in sharks," with a face just like that. Like, and I only mention this because, like, as a future marine biologist myself, if somebody worded it like that, I just have to laugh. That's, like, not a great career path, and a very short one if you're in sharks. Now, in that same scene, they mention a rogue shark and explain that it's a shark that lives alone. I'd like to point out that there is no such thing as a rogue shark. Sharks cannot be tameable. They cannot be treated as pets. There's nothing about a shark that can basically, be like a pet dog or a pet cat or something. Sharks are pretty much lone wolves, depending on the species. They hunt alone, they eat alone, and sometimes the only time that they come together is to make babies. I'm not saying that sharks can't recognize you, because they can. They have recognized swimmers that feed them and that spend time with them, and they're pretty much safe if the shark likes them and decides that, hey, you can be in my territory today. It's completely by their will that you make it out alive, not you. Not because you've tamed them, not because you've domesticated them in some way. The only reason people are able to hand feed sharks is because, like I said earlier, sharks are opportunists. They love a free, easy meal. Don't have to fight for it. Don't have to spend energy. Really, it's like the best of both worlds. You can get an exciting experience and tell your friends everything that happened, and the shark's like, yeah, I got full, and I didn't have to take down the prey. Now, in the scene after this one, they cut open the shark to see if it actually is the shark. Now, the movie does get a few points for showing how hard it is to open a shark, or to cut open a shark, and how much they stink. Their skin is made of tiny, tiny shark teeth called denticles. And their skin is very thick, even the underbelly, sorry. I don't mean to go full country there. That's why it feels like sandpaper when you touch them. If you, pet them from the tail to the head, then you're going to get cut on their denticles. But if you pet from head to tail, then it just feels like sandpaper, and you won't get cut. Now, this makes sense because, you can't be at the top of the food chain if you have sensitive skin. So Hooper starts pulling out the stomach contents, and I'll give some more points for the accuracy of that. Tiger sharks are known as the trash cans of the ocean. They'll eat almost anything. No, they'll eat anything. People have found license plates in the stomach, which Hooper does actually pull out. They found, chainmail suits inside of tiger sharks. They have found a lot of weird stuff. Not surprisingly, a dead shark and the inside of its stomach contents stink. But it's more than stink. Like I said, I've never, had a real life experience with a shark before. But I haven't been told, but I have heard that they just stink to high hell. Like dumpster fire, death, just fucking stink. So Jaws gets more points for realism. Unfortunately, whatever your take on this would be, they don't find proof that the shark ate the boy. During the span of this movie, the shark, which they named Bruce, not in the movie, but like in real life, he's referred to as a killer shark. You should keep in mind that there's not really such thing as a killer animal. Just like they can't be rogue. They kill to survive. They don't kill for fun. They don't kill, I just feel like it today. They kill to eat. They're survivors. That's what they do. Now, I'm definitely going to put points against the mayor for trying to make everybody go in the water when he knows at the very least 3 people have died so far in the time span of 3 days. At least 3. This is the shittiest mayor in movie history ever. Ever. Like, he is such a piece of shit. Realistically, I feel like he would have been charged somehow, sent to jail, or owe them compensation or something for endangering an entire beach of people in the middle of July. Like, that beach is packed. Nobody's going in the water. They're just enjoying the sun and sitting in the sand. And he's like, no, go, go, go. You better go right now. Like, he starts getting threatening. Like, if you don't go in the water, just go. You know, like, I forgot exactly what he says, but, like, it sounds like a threat. So he prioritizes the money he makes from the beach over human life. Yeah, it's kind of a fucking douche. Now I'm going to take some more points against the little kids that decided to put, like, a cardboard fin on their head or back or wherever it was to scare everybody. Everyone is already traumatized. Why the fuck would you do that? In the Jaws universe, people have actually died. Like I just said, they have died. People have seen some screwed up shit. Like, no. Douchery is frowned upon, no matter how old you are. One thing I've never quite understood is why they call the cage that they put in the water an anti-shark cage. It's just like a regular diving cage, and it's not necessarily meant to keep sharks away. Actually, if the shark wanted to and it got excited or aggressive enough, it could take out that cage with you in it. They're, at least 3,000 pounds, 3 tons of muscle and shark muscle. So a teeny tiny little cage isn't going to make the shark stay away or make it not want to attack it. I think you said the cage was made out of titanium. That's still not going to prevent anything from happening to you. Honestly, you're probably safe for free diving, because if the cage goes down, you're pretty much fucked. Now, this one is not so much related to sharks as it is just general safety. Quint, the crazy shark fisherman that, quite frankly, acts like he's taken a few too sniffs, if you know what I mean. He takes Hooper and Brody out on the ocean to catch a shark. When the line starts to slowly tug, he sticks the fishing pole into the cylindrical funnel thing that's attached to his boat. Puts on a vest and hooked his vest to the fishing pole. Can you already see where I'm going with this? If you're fishing in the middle of the ocean and you don't see one patch of dry land anywhere, don't attach yourself to the fishing pole. We can agree on that, right? Right? And I hadn't noticed it before this particular viewing, but when you finally see the shark from above, the entire shark for the first time, you see that it's just like swimming completely straight. Like it's being pushed by an invisible force. It might not sound like a big deal, but sharks swim like this. And they don't just like, swim straight in a line. They probably didn't do that on purpose. If you know anything about the making of Jaws, they had already had some real issues keeping Bruce afloat. Like he would just sink to the bottom every take. And they took a long time to figure out how to keep him up. And, so that they could finish the friggin' movie. And they may not have had the mechanics for a real shark at that particular moment, but I'm still going to take off a point. Now, I will give back points for Brody mentioning that they need a bigger boat 3 separate times. When they first see a shark, he was like, oh, we're going to need a bigger boat, which is the iconic line that pretty much everybody knows. After a few minutes, and they're like all freaking out, he's like, we're going to get a bigger boat, right? And then after the shark swims away and escapes or whatever, one more time he's like, yeah, but we need a bigger boat. It's funny as hell. And in the next iconic scene, Quint starts talking about his experiences on the USS Indianapolis during World War II and how their ship was sunk. When he and his men were in the water, a tiger shark circled them and they made a big, tight group in the water. He begins by saying that they should scare the shark away, or that they thought they could scare the shark away by making loud noises and splashing. But remember what I said earlier? That's prey behavior. So that would only encourage a shark, and it did. He also says that their eyes are black and lifeless. That's not necessarily true. A shark can express a lot with just their eyes. And if you look close enough and you have the right light on them, I can't speak, then you see that their eyes are like a very dark blue. Of course, in the middle of a shark attack, you wouldn't be thinking of that necessarily. He also says they roll over white. Sharks have 2 eyelids. 2. Eyelids come up to protect their eyes in case if the prey fights back. So, they can protect their eyes. And honestly, if you're being attacked by a shark, what's the first thing you're going to do is try to gouge their eyes out or hit them or something. My last point for the scene is actually a point going towards the movie. 100 or so of his men were presumably eaten or dragged under, and he ran into one of his friends from the ship. He thought he was asleep at first, but he realizes the shark ate his bottom half. Believe it or not, this can happen. A shark bite is the strongest bite for a fish. There's, I want to say, 4,000 pounds of force behind a great white shark's bite. So, yeah. Not only that, but as we know, tiger sharks have the added bonus of having serrated teeth. This next one I actually had to look up. Shortly after he tells his story, the shark starts headbutting the boat and like making a big hole into it. I actually didn't know that sharks could headbutt. Like, that was the thing that they did. Apparently it is. So, we both learned something new today. At this point, they're chasing Bruce down with strong determination. Quint shoots a second harpoon into the shark, and the shark tilts its head back and roars. I actually had to rewind to make sure it wasn't like just the sound of the sea or something, but the shark actually roars. Fish are not able to make vocal noises. They don't have vocal cords like we do. They can't roar, growl, grunt, whatever. They don't have the capacity for that. I know they probably just put it in for dramatics and scary, but I'm still taking a point. And just for future reference, maybe don't tie barrels attached to a 3-ton shark to your boat. As we've discovered so far, sharks are kind of a force of nature. But points to Brody for having the sense to know that cages are nothing against 25-foot sharks. In the final confrontation, Hooper goes down to the cage to try and get the shark to come close enough so that he can inject poison in its mouth or somewhere else sensitive, like his eyes or whatever. In this scene, they have footage of an actual great white shark. It's very refreshing because these days we just CGI everything. Sharks, people, babies, it doesn't freaking matter. And that scene was just something genuine and beautiful, and being able to put an actual shark into your movie is quite nice, even if it's from a movie that's older than I am. Points to Bruce for taking out a notorious shark hunter. The whole movie is just him trying to save the ocean. Karma, bitch! And last but certainly not least, if you've seen this movie, you know it ends with the shark getting blown up. They take the tank of compressed air and it's like stuck between the shark's jaws, and Brody shoots at a tank and the shark goes boom. Now, if you've ever seen Mythbusters, one of their cooler episodes to me is that they actually simulate this. So what they find is, no, it's not going to blow up an entire shark. It might put a hole in it, and it might certainly kill it, but it's not going to have a spectacular fireworks explosion. And that was Jaws. Again, if you've never seen it, I encourage you to watch it, just for the cinematic experience. Not necessarily to see how cheesy it is in some scenes, or like to laugh at it. It's just an actually great movie. So I took points away based on the severity of inaccuracies, but I also added points to things that were actually right. Now, the grading point system for this is, if it has 10 points more at the end of the movie, based on how many I took away or gave, then it's S rank. If it's between, a 9 and a 9.9, it's an A rank, 8, 8.9, B rank, so on and so on, until you get to F. Obviously an F would be anything 5 or lower. And I have actually reviewed a movie that was an F. And there were actually more inaccuracies than I thought there were. But I'm still going to use this movie as a baseline for a good shark movie. The points in the end came down to 11, so naturally it's an S rank. I'm sure a lot of them will be in the negatives. Actually, I just saw last night one of the movies I had already planned to watch, like, before I even watched Jaws. Deep Blue Sea was in the negative. It was terrible. But really amusing. Now, since this is an S rank, it gets bonus points. That I had already added before. But, so an S rank gets 5 bonus points for being an S rank. And it was also actually somewhat historically correct. In 1916, there was a series of attacks on Jersey Shore. I wasn't talking to you, Siri. In 1916, so there were attacks on Jersey Shore. And that's what this movie was based off of. But the only difference with that is because it was like in a river and not an ocean, it had to be a bull shark. Bull sharks can actually survive in fresh water, unlike any other shark that exists. The shark attacked 5 people, and I think took the life of like 2 or 3. Anyway, thanks for watching. I really enjoyed going back and watching the movie again. And I had fun setting up all of this. Like, even through the inaccuracies, I didn't get annoyed. Like, it was really funny and entertaining. The next review I will do is Deep Blue Sea. And then after that, I'll do a movie called The Reef, which is not quite as fun. It's based off actual events too, but it's kind of depressing. Deep Blue Sea is absolutely ridiculous, but at least it's that for the plot is somewhat interesting. Like, it's science-based, sort of. If you have any suggestions for future videos, any shark movies that you like, but are, like, super dumb, and you want to see a review for, let me know in the comments. If you liked it, smack that subscribe button, because I think I'm going to need a bigger channel. That was terrible. Anyway, see you guys in the next video.